What's up, everybody? Kevin Forbesi here, talking sports with you today, and what a crazy day it's been. As many as you guys may know, NBA trade deadline was today at 3 p.m. Eastern. Just passed about an hour and a half ago, and my wild day it's been. Trades going on left and right. Feels like there was a watch bomb every about 30 minutes today. Not any big trades that happened. Probably the biggest being Marc Gasol was traded to the Raptors from the Grizzlies. So after being in Memphis for the majority of his career. Now moving to Toronto. Toronto sitting back Jonas Valanciunas, DeLon Wright, and I believe the second round pick in 2024 to get Gasol. That's an interesting trade there. You know, that definitely seems like the Raptors are in very much win now mode, trying to do everything they can to appease Kawhi Leonard and to keep him there long term. But I think there are two main stories to take from the trade deadline, and we'll talk about those each. So the first being the Tobias Harris trade. What Philly has put together this season, I think, is nothing short of remarkable. They came into the year with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. A lot of people questioning maybe how they fit. A lot of people also saw a lot of long-term potential in them. They had Markelle Fultz, who had been a disappointment last year and has issues mentally and shooting with his shooting form recently. But they then turned in some of their assets into Jimmy Butler, a perennial All-Star, and Tobias Harris, who's one of the most exciting players in the league today, has really developed a lot this season, up in the running probably for the most improved player. And now all of a sudden, we look at Philadelphia, and one of the big question marks for them going into the trade deadline was, where are they going to find shooting? They have J.J. Redick, and that's about it shooting wise. Virtually every all of their best five-man lineups have J.J. Redick in them, and not necessarily because J.J. Redick's that incredible of a player, but his shooting is so important to that team, and whenever he's off the court, they struggle. They still have a great starting lineup and all of that, but they really, really needed to find some shooting, and that's exactly what they found in Tobias Harris, who is a much improved shooter. I believe he's shooting something like 43% on spot up threes, and he's going to provide that outside shooting that they desperately needed in that starting lineup, and also when Redick's on the bench. And so now you look at it, and where are the holes in this team? I mean, yes, they do lack a little bit of depth. They traded away Andrew Shamet and a lot of their depth there, but you have four All-Stars. I mean, Tobias Harris is a first-time All-Star this year. Ben Simmons, Embiid, Butler, Harris, and all of them are above 6'8". They can potentially switch, 1 through 5. Embiid's one of the best defenders in the league. Simmons has been remarkable at shutting down point guards and being just a defensive fiend out there. Jimmy Butler, of course, is a great wing defender. And Tobias Harris isn't necessarily known for his defense at this point in his career, but under the tutelage of Brett Brown and some of those other guys there, I feel like that's something that he can very well adopt. But I mean, there's no real holes now. Yes, Ben Simmons still doesn't have a jumper, but is that as big of a deal now that you have Tobias Harris, J.J. Redick on the wings, Jimmy Butler can create, Embiid's become one of the most dominant post players in the game. This team is versatile, they're talented, and it's scary. If they can keep this team together, you could see the Sixers making waves in the playoffs for the foreseeable future. And keep in mind, all these guys are really young. I believe Butler's the oldest at about 29. Tobias Harris is only, I believe, 26, and he's been in the league, 7, 8 years, been on something like 5 different teams, which is crazy considering how good he's actually been throughout his entire career, that he's been traded that often. And hopefully he's finally found a home there in Philadelphia. And of course, Ben Simmons is like 20, 21, and Embiid's like 22 or 23. It's got a great young core, and it seems like they've really positioned themselves well for this year and then moving forward. Now, it's going to be tricky trying to keep this core four together, especially with the cap gymnastics involved. I mean, you never know what Jimmy Butler is going to decide to do. I mean, it's been interesting. He makes waves wherever he goes. He definitely wreaks havoc in locker rooms and rubs some people the wrong way. But I think the best solution to any locker room chemistry issues is winning. I mean, I think that's what we see with the Warriors. When you win, nobody cares what's going on behind closed doors, and everybody was a little bit happier, a little bit more willing to go the extra mile, and I think that's what the Sixers have gone for, saying, look, we believe in Simmons and Embiid. Let's give them pieces around them to make sure that we don't waste these great players that we have here, these generational talents that they have in Simmons and Embiid, and great pairing with Butler and Tobias Harris to kind of lessen the load on Simmons and co, and just give them added depth to be able to compete with the Bostons, the Torontos, the Golden States, and I think they're a very scary team come playoff time. And I'm not going to say they're the favorite yet for the East, because you have to factor in chemistry and see how this team gels, but they definitely have the talent to make things interesting and make a run to the finals this year. Now, I think the second and probably the biggest story of the trade deadline was the Anthony Davis trade, or may I put it, the Anthony Davis no trade. Reports coming out of all the different trade offers that the Lakers have made to the Pelicans, and yet nothing was finalized today. Now it looks like Pelicans are going to wait until the offseason when Boston can get involved. And I think there are a couple of perspectives here. There was a lot of pressure on the Pelicans GM, Dell Demps, to wait to make a deal, especially from owners and GMs around the league. The Pelicans representing the small markets in the NBA, not wanting to give in to a player who has a year and a half left on his contract. I mean, it's not a good look for the league that a player can just force his way out whenever he wants. And two, this notion that Boston's going to be able to offer a ton in the summer and really compete with the Lakers' offer. Now, the Lakers offered virtually everything, if the reports are true. All their young guys, between Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and Josh Hart, multiple draft picks, and were willing to take on an expiring or a bad contract in Solomon Hill. And the Pelicans just said, we're going to wait and see what the Celtics have to offer us in the summer, which I think can be a really risky proposition. If you keep in mind that Anthony Davis has already stated through his dad that he doesn't necessarily want to play for the Celtics. And I think he signs there long term, most likely if he gets traded there. But if Kyrie leaves in free agency, I mean, what does Boston have to offer Davis? Is Boston then willing to trade Jason Tatum if Kyrie leaves to go to New York? And I think that's really a storyline to watch. So yes, the Pelicans may be making the prudent decision, waiting for the summer to see what Boston can offer them and really drive up the price of AD. But it could come back to hurt them. If Kyrie does leave, then are you willing to part with Jason Tatum? Because then if you do, what are you left with? Then at that point, you virtually gutted your whole team, and all you have is Anthony Davis. Is Davis going to want to stick around past next season? So that's a storyline to watch. And actually, I know a lot of people were talking about how this had a crushing impact on the Lakers' young core, and how this is one of the worst things that can happen to him. And I think there's some good to be taken from this. And I think this is an excellent opportunity for the Lakers, and specifically those Lakers' young players, to prove their worth. And I think this can go one of two ways. So the first being is that being caught up in all these trade rumors and knowing that you're expendable really just takes a toll on Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and for that this season, the Lakers season goes down the tank. And that's a very real possibility. That's if we look at the game the other night against the Pacers, the Lakers just were not there mentally. The team was not playing as a cohesive unit, lost by 40-plus points, lives 42 points, worst loss of LeBron's career against a Pacers team without Victor Oladipo, and who has been struggling as of late. Just an embarrassment. But now that the trade deadline is over, now that these guys know that they're going to be here and they're not going to be uprooted tomorrow and have to go fly across the country to New Orleans and live in New Orleans for the rest of the season, I feel like this is a great opportunity for them to build and to really come through the adversity as better players and better teammates. And look, LeBron has I don't think this has been handled great from a PR perspective from a lot of sides. LeBron hasn't been the most supportive through this process. It appears with his younger teammates, Magic Johnson, Rob Pelinka, been very aggressive, but a lot of stuff has gotten out to the media. A lot of people are reporting those elites from the New Orleans kind of sabotaged the Lakers, so to speak, and it's interesting kind of the information war going on there. But now that you have the certainty that they're going to be in the rest of the season, look, Lonzo, this is a message of Lonzo, Ingram, Kuzma, Hart. You guys know you're expendable. The Lakers have told you that thus far today. The rest of the season, you are tasked with proving to the Lakers that they're wrong. Prove to them that you are the future and that you are worth keeping. You have 20 some odd games, I believe 27 games to prove your worth. Go prove it to the Lakers that they were wrong in considering trading you. Prove to LeBron that you are the pieces he needs to win a championship. And that's a tough task to ask. These guys are young 20s. But if they look at it as an opportunity to say, you know what? The Lakers didn't think I was good enough. I'm going to prove to them I am. I'm good enough for LA. I'm good enough to play with the best player in the world, LeBron James. And this can be a great opportunity for the team to come together and really solidify what they're doing as a unit. I mean, there's a ton of talent there. I think it's hard to argue how talented this team is. They have two number 2 overall picks in Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball. Kyle Kuzma has been playing out of his mind recently. Josh Hart is a very good first-round talent. And you have LeBron James. This team's got talent. They just have to play together and mature and figure out what it takes to win. And take this opportunity to learn from LeBron. Yes, maybe he's not been the best leader through parts of this process, but he's still one of the greatest players of all time. Take this opportunity to learn. And oftentimes, adversity can do one of two things to you. It can crush you, or it can make you stronger. Michael Jordan famously was cut from his high school varsity team, forced to play on JV his freshman year of high school. And he used that adversity to fuel him for the rest of his life. That's what's going on right now in LA. Ingram, Hart, Kuzma, Lonzo have been faced with incredible adversity, being told that they're not wanted. You can take this one of two ways. Let it crush you, or let it define you, let it tear you down, or they can take this and run with it and prove that they belong. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with this team going forward. But those young players have to use this as that opportunity to prove all the doubters wrong. Prove Magic Johnson and LeBron James wrong, that you do indeed deserve to be here. Thank you guys.